So, just to sound like a homeless person that's smart, because somebody said I try to sound smart, let's get in to 4th of July, to Independence Day. A lot of people do not understand what Independence Day is for and why we stand to the national anthem. So check it out. So today's holiday is actually in celebration of a battle from 1814 September, where the British tried to attack Fort McHenry. The British focuses attacked for Fort McHenry, Baltimore Harbor, for Maryland for 25 hours on September 13th, 14th, and 1814. Their goal was to capture Baltimore and disable the fort's defense. Despite heavy bombardment, the American flags over the fort remained visible at dawn September 14th, significantly that Americans had not surrendered. Francis Scott Key, who was witness to the bombardment from one of the battleships, was so inspired by the sight of the flag that he wrote the poem Defense for Fort McHenry, which later became the lyrics for the Star-Spangled Banner. The British forces ultimately withdrew, abandoned their attacks on Baltimore. So now you know why we celebrate 4th of July. And the reason that we stand to the American flag is because while Fort McHenry was being bombarded, you could see the flagpole throughout the night shifting and leaning to different angles. Throughout the night, people in the fort, because the fort was a civilian fort, it was an old army fort. The people in the fort knew that if the flag had touched the ground, that therefore would be showing that the British have won and they had knocked our flag to the ground. The following morning, when Scott McKee came back from the ships to see the wreckage that had happened over the last day and a half of bombardment on the fort, he saw all the dead people around the bottom of the flagpole, and there were people holding up the flagpole. So when we stand to the national anthem and we stand to the flag, we don't just stand to the soldiers that fought for our country. We stand to the people that stood for the flag, that stood for the country. That's who we stand to. We put our hand on our heart for those 20 or 30 people that died the night that the British were bombarding a civilian fort, trying to destroy it so that they could take America, because they didn't want us having our freedom. That's who we stand for. We don't stand for the Army, for the Marines, for the Navy SEALs, for the Rangers. We made it to be that way, but technicality, we stand for the civilians, because the civilians, we are the ones that created this country, and we are the ones that are supposedly in power of this country. So don't let them be pushing you around. I hope you guys have a great 4th of July, and no, it doesn't have to deal with slavery. It has nothing to do with slavery. The only slaves during that whole ordeal were the British that had captured Americans. They had them chained in the bottom of the ships, or vice versa. The Americans had captured some British soldiers and had them chained up somewhere. There were no fucking slaves, to my one friend, which don't follow me no more because he's too liberal. He can't hang. I love you, but you just can't hang. He thinks that 4th of July is about slavery. It has absolutely nothing to do with slavery. It's about the day we said, fuck you, fucking empire kings and queens. We have no kings, so fuck you. We have our freedom. We're Americans. And that's why you want to be an American. That's why you don't want to be any other country. You come from another country and you come to America, you want to be an American. You don't want to be somebody living in a third world country now living in America thinking that you're still living in a fucking third world country. It don't work that way. You're a fucking American. Give up your old ways and become a fucking American. That's what my Irish family did when they came here. They gave up their ways. They became fucking Americans. Mushroom for President 2028.